Rainbow bridges, connecting humans and the divine. The storm has ended. Thunder, once a fierce drum roll across the heavens, has wandered off into the far mountains, leaving only its echo behind. The air is thick, still trembling with the scent of wet soil. Leaves hang heavy with drops of rain. Streets shine with silver puddles, reflecting fragments of a sky still restless with drifting clouds. And then, almost without warning, something happens. A light cuts through the haze. Sunbeams, timid at first, break through the veil of darkness. The sky begins to open. The storm is not forgotten, but it is forgiven. And in that moment, as light and water dance together, a miracle is born. A rainbow. It stretches across the sky like a promise written in color red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. A perfect arc, suspended as if by invisible hands, touching both horizons at once. Children see it and shout, pointing with excitement. Lovers pause on their walks, their conversations silenced by wonder. The weary farmer rests his hoe and gazes upward, reassured that the rains have passed. The elder, sitting quietly on a wooden step, remembers the stories told long ago, stories where rainbows were not simply tricks of light, but divine messages, paths, or warnings from the heavens. For in every age, in every land, people have looked at this same bow of colors and seen something more. Long before prisms and refractions explained the science, the rainbow was myth. It was mystery. It was a threshold. In the frozen north, the Norse people saw it as Bifrost, the flaming bridge to Asgard, trembling under the weight of gods who strode across it, shimmering with sparks of fire. In the islands of Japan, it became the floating bridge of heaven, the first road on which Izanagi and Azanami descended to stir the seas and form the world. Across the deserts and mesas of the American Southwest, the Navajo saw the rainbow as a guardian spirit, a shield painted in sand, woven into blankets, carried in chants. And far in Aotearoa, the Maori gazed upon it and whispered the name of Uenuku, the rainbow god, a living presence of love, war, and divine power. But it does not end there. In Greece, Iris the rainbow herself was the messenger of the gods. In India, the ark was Indradhanush, the bow of Indra, king of storms, pulled taut against chaos. In Mesopotamia and the Hebrew scriptures, the rainbow was the covenant of peace, stretched across the heavens after the great flood. In Africa, it became a serpent in the sky, powerful and dangerous. In Polynesia, it carried chiefs to the heavens. And in the oldest traditions of Australia, the rainbow serpent was creator and destroyer, alike the lifeblood of rivers, the force behind fertility, the warning of floods. Everywhere, the rainbow was more than light. It was meaning. But why? Why is it that peoples who never met, separated by oceans and centuries, all looked at the rainbow and saw a bridge? Why did the farmer in the Nile Valley, the warrior in Scandinavia, the shaman in the desert, and the priestess in Polynesia all tell the same story with different words? That this arc in the sky was a connection between our fragile world and the eternal divine? Perhaps it is because the rainbow itself is a paradox. It is born of storm and sunlight, of opposites reconciled. It appears where conflict ends and harmony begins. It is fragile, lasting only minutes, but eternal, returning again and again across generations. It touches earth and sky at once, belonging to neither, belonging to both. And so we stand beneath it, feeling small and yet part of something vast. Tonight, we follow this arc. We step into stories told by firelight and sung in chants, carved in stones and whispered in prayers. We will cross the Bifrost into Asgard, walk the floating bridge of heaven in Japan, trace the rainbow paths of the Navajo, and stand in the shadow of Uenuku in the mountains of Aotearoa. We will journey across Greece, Mesopotamia, India, Africa, and beyond, chasing the rainbow as it bends across cultures and centuries. And perhaps, by the end, when we next see one stretching across the horizon after a storm, we will see it not as science alone, but as story. Not only as light, but as legacy. Not only as water and sun, but as bridge. A rainbow. The ancient highway. The eternal path that connects humans and the divine. Chapter 1. The Norse Bifrost. Flames across the sky. In the far north, where winters bite deep and snow covers the land for months on end, the ancient Norse people told stories to explain the world around them. Long nights were filled with sagas recited by firelight, where the crackling of wood was like the crackling of distant thunder, and the howling of the wind was the breath of giants wandering in the frozen wastes. To the Norse, the universe was not a single place, but a great tree Yggdrasil. Its roots reached into the depths of worlds unseen, and its branches stretched into the heavens. Upon this cosmic tree hung 9 distinct realms. Asgard, realm of the gods, a place of shining halls and golden mead. Midgard, the middle world of humankind, surrounded by oceans so vast they were said to be encircled by the serpent Jormungandr. Jotunheim, the harsh land of the giants, forever enemies of the gods. Vanaheim, the home of the Vanir gods, masters of fertility and wisdom. Elfheim, realm of the elves, glowing with ethereal beauty. Svartalfheim, the underground world of dwarves, where metals were hammered into magic. Niflheim, a place of frost and darkness. Muspelheim, a kingdom of fire, ruled by the giant Surtur, whose flaming sword would one day bring about the world's end. Hel, the cold, shadowy underworld, where the dead who did not fall in battle wandered without glory. 9 realms, each alive with stories, all bound together by the roots and branches of Yggdrasil. But even as these realms existed, they were not separate. There were connections, paths, bridges, hidden ways, and the most dazzling of them all was the Bifrost. The burning bridge, the Bifrost, was no ordinary rainbow. In the Norse imagination, it was a trembling, fiery span arched across the heavens, shimmering with colors, but alive with heat and sparks. Its name itself means the shaking way, or the trembling path, for it quivered under the weight of divine feet. Unlike the gentle rainbows we know, the Bifrost was dangerous. Its red band was said to be made of fire, a burning guard that giants and trolls could not cross. To the Norse, fire was both life and death. It warmed hearths in icy nights, but it also consumed without mercy. That same paradox flickered in the sky whenever rain and sunlight danced together. When a rainbow appeared after a storm in Scandinavia, the Norse did not see soft beauty. They saw the gods themselves moving across a flaming causeway, the guardian of the bridge. At the entrance to the Bifrost stood Heimdall, the watchman of the gods. Tall, resplendent, and ever alert, Heimdall's senses were sharper than any being in the cosmos. He could see for hundreds of miles, even in the darkness of night. He could hear the wool growing on sheep, the grass pushing through the soil. He needed no sleep. His eyes never closed. His ears never dulled. Why? Because the Bifrost could not be left unguarded. If the giants of Jotunheim crossed the bridge, Asgard itself could be invaded, its shining halls toppled. Heimdall stood with his great horn Jallarhorn, ready to sound the alarm that would echo across all 9 realms. Imagine it, a lone figure, eternal in his vigilance, standing at the edge of a rainbow bridge that shimmered with fire, watching the horizon for enemies. Even the gods trusted Heimdall, for they knew that without him, the connection between worlds would collapse, a path of counsel and destiny. The Bifrost was more than a military crossing. It was the road the gods themselves used to journey from Asgard to Midgard, from their shining halls to the roots of Yggdrasil, where destiny was woven. Every day, the gods traveled across the rainbow to gather at the Well of Urd, where the Norns' 3 powerful beings wove the fates of all things. There, Beneath the branches of Yggdrasil, decisions were made, judgments passed, futures foreseen. And each time, the gods crossed the Bifrost, leaving its fiery shimmer across the sky for mortals to see. So when the Norse people looked upward and saw a rainbow, they were not simply seeing light, they were seeing the footprints of gods, striding across a cosmic bridge to weave destiny itself. The doom of the Bifrost. But like all things in Norse myth, even the Bifrost was doomed. The sagas speak of Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods. On that day, the sky will split open. Wolves will devour the sun and moon. The seas will rise as Jormungandr, the world serpent, thrashes in fury. Giants will march from Jotunheim, their footsteps shaking the earth. And when the army of chaos comes, they will storm across the Bifrost. Heimdall will raise Jallarhorn to his lips and blow with such force that every being, living and dead, will hear its call. The final battle will begin. Under the weight of giants, monsters, and gods alike, the bridge will collapse in fire and ruin. The Rainbow Bridge, shimmering and fragile, will burn away, its final arc a spark in the end of all things. Meaning in the myth. And yet, in this doom lies a lesson. The Bifrost was a connection, but also a warning. It was beautiful, but fragile. It was a pathway, but also a reminder that the link between gods and mortals was never eternal. Like the rainbow itself, brilliant and fleeting, the Bifrost appeared only when storm and sunlight met and vanished just as quickly. To the Norse, this fragility was truth. Life itself was fleeting. Glory, no matter how bright, was temporary. The rainbow in the sky was both a promise and a warning. That connection to the divine is real, but never permanent. That beauty is born of tension of storm and sun, of fire and mist. The rainbow across the fjords. Even today, when rain clears over the fjords of Norway or the mountains of Iceland, a rainbow arcs across the sky. Tourists marvel, cameras flash. But somewhere, in the quiet memory of the land, the old stories still whisper. That fiery bridge, they say, is the Bifrost. And if you listen closely enough, beyond the rush of waterfalls and the cry of seabirds, perhaps, just perhaps, you might hear the faint echo of Heimdall's horn, waiting for the day of doom. Chapter 2. Japan's Floating Bridge of Heaven. Long before skyscrapers and neon lights, before samurai and emperors, before the first rice was planted in Japanese soil, there was nothing but chaos. A sea of swirling mist and endless water stretched without horizon, without mountain, without land. The earth had not yet taken form. The world as we know it had not yet been born. High above this shapeless ocean lay Takamagara, the plain of high heaven. It was a realm of light and order, home to the earliest gods, the kami. These kami were countless, each embodying forces of creation, nature, and destiny. Among them stood two who would forever shape the earth below, Izanagi he, who invites, and Izanami she, who invites. The elder deities gave to Izanagi and Izanami a sacred mission: descend and create the land below. But when the divine pair looked down from Takamagara, they saw only the endless churn of seas and storm. How could they descend into nothingness? How could they step into a world that had no ground? The answer was a bridge, the Ama-no Yukihashi, floating bridge of heaven. The gods gave them the Ama-no Yukihashi, the floating bridge of heaven. It was no wooden walkway, no stone path, but a radiant span stretching from the plain of high heaven into the mists below. It shimmered like the arc of a rainbow, suspended, fragile, yet eternal. Upon it, the divine pair could stand between heaven and chaos, balanced on the very threshold of creation. Standing together upon this bridge, Izanagi and Izanami held in their hands the Ein no Nuboko, the jeweled spear of heaven. With solemn grace, they dipped the spear into the swirling seas beneath. When they raised it again, drops of salty water fell back and congealed. hardening into land. This was the birth of Onogoro Island, the first foundation of the earth. Descending to Onogoro, Izanagi and Izanami built the heavenly pillar, around which they circled in a ritual of union. From their marriage came mountains, rivers, forests, and a pantheon of gods, some benevolent, some fierce. Thus, from a bridge and a spear, chaos became creation. The floating bridge was not just the road. They were standing on the very axis where heaven met earth, where light gave shape to form, the symbolism of the bridge. To the Japanese imagination, bridges were never merely practical. They were liminal thresholds between two worlds. To step upon a bridge was to enter a different state of being, to cross from one existence to another. And so the floating bridge of heaven became the archetype of every sacred crossing. Even today, when visitors approach a Shinto shrine, they often cross a bridge arched, painted vermilion, reflected in the still waters of a pond. It was the hint of the floating bridge itself, a reminder that the gods had once stood upon such a span and shaped the world we now inhabit. The tragedy of Izanami. But creation is never without cost. From their union came many deities, but also sorrow. When Izanami gave birth to the fire god Kagutsuchi, she was burned so terribly that she descended into Yomi, the land of the dead. Izanagi, stricken with grief, descended after her, desperate to retrieve his beloved. He crossed into the underworld, a place of shadows and decay, hoping to lead her back. But when he looked upon her, he found that death had changed her. Horrified, he fled. Izanami, enraged at his rejection, vowed vengeance. She became a goddess of death, promising to claim 1,000 lives each day. To balance her curse, Izanagi declared that 1,500 would be born each day. The bridge here becomes even more symbolic. It is not just a path of creation, but a threshold between life and death, between union and separation, between hope and despair. Izanagi's crossing into Yomi was another journey across a bridge not of light, but of shadow. Ritual echoes. From these stories come rituals still alive in Shinto practice. Purification with water Mizagi recalls Izanagi's attempt to cleanse himself after escaping. Yomi, the building of torii gates and sacred bridges, recalls the liminal moment when the divine first stepped onto the floating bridge of heaven. In every arch, in every shrine bridge, in every ritual of cleansing, the story of the Rainbow Light Bridge endures. Reflections beneath a Japanese rainbow. Imagine it. A summer storm passes over Kyoto, leaving the Kamo River swollen and the mountains veiled in mist. As the clouds part, a rainbow arcs across the sky, reflected faintly in the waters below. To the modern eye, it is science. But to the one who remembers, it is myth. It is Izanagi and Izanami, once again standing upon the floating bridge of heaven, spear in hand, shaping islands from chaos. It is a reminder that creation is never complete, that the world is still being stirred, still being shaped, each time light and water meet. And so, when a rainbow appears across the Japanese sky, one can almost imagine the gods returning, their feet upon a shimmering path between heaven and earth, ready to create once more. Chapter 3. Navajo Rainbow Paths. Across the vast deserts and mesas of the American Southwest, the land itself tells stories. Towering red cliffs glow like embers at sunset. Dry riverbeds cut across the sand, waiting for rain. The wind carries the scent of sagebrush, and the horizon stretches endlessly under a sky so wide it humbles the heart. It is here that the Navajo people, who call themselves the Dine, live and tell their stories. For the Dine, the land is not empty space. It is alive, filled with memory, spirit, and power. Every mountain, every canyon, every breeze has meaning. And among all the symbols that carry divine weight, the rainbow is one of the most sacred. To the Dain, the rainbow is not merely a curve of light after rain. It is a guardian spirit, a pathway, a shield, a living presence that accompanies the people. When conflict and disorder grew, they rose into second world, then into third, and finally into fourth world, the world we now inhabit. In these passages, bridges were needed not of wood or stone, but of spirit and power. And among these sacred crossings, the rainbow often appeared. It was the pathway of escape, allowing the holy people to guide the Dain safely into the next world. Without the rainbow, the journey upward would have failed. Thus, from the beginning, the rainbow was associated with survival, transition, and divine guidance. The Rainbow Spirit, Knots Elid. In Navajo thought, the rainbow is more than a natural phenomenon. It is Natsi Eled, a living spiritual being. When drawn in sacred sand paintings, Knots Eled appears as a curved figure, arms outstretched, enclosing the people. His form bends around the sacred space, shielding it from harm. The rainbow spirit is not passive. He is active, protecting, guarding, and empowering. In ceremony, he surrounds the one being healed, enclosing them like a suit of shining armor. Just as a warrior dons shield and weapon before battle, so too does the rainbow spirit bend around the vulnerable, keeping out evil and chaos. When a rainbow appears in the desert sky, it is said that Knots Elid is present, reminding the Dain that the Holy Ones walk with them, watching, guiding, and protecting. The rainbow in sand paintings. One of the most profound expressions of this belief is found in sand paintings, or ika. These sacred artworks are created during ceremonies with colored sands red, white, black, yellow, and blue painstakingly poured to form images of deities, spirits, and cosmic order. The rainbow often arcs around these paintings, its body enclosing the sacred figures inside. It is not mere decoration. It is the very boundary of holiness, keeping the power of the painting safe and keeping chaos out. When the patient sits upon the sand painting, they are encircled by the rainbow spirit itself. To cross that arc without reverence is to break the protection, to invite disorder. When the ritual ends, the sand painting is destroyed, for its purpose has been fulfilled. Yet the rainbow's role lingers in the memory. It was the shield that allowed healing to occur. The colors of the rainbow. For the Dain, colors carry sacred meaning. The rainbow is painted not only in the 7 hues we see in the sky, but in the 4 sacred colors that correspond to the 4 directions. White, the east, where the sun rises, symbol of beginnings. Blue, the south, the warmth of midday, symbol of growth. Yellow, the west, the setting sun, symbol of maturity. Black, the north, the realm of night and reflection. These 4 colors are woven into blankets, painted onto pottery, sung into chants, and drawn into sand. Together they form the body of the rainbow, the guardian who spans the entire cosmos. Thus, when one sees a rainbow in the desert sky, its colors are not random. They are the woven pattern of the universe itself, the 4 directions shining together, reminding the Dain of balance and harmony. Rainbow as path and bridge. The rainbow is also a road of the gods. Just as the Norse believed their gods strode across Bifrost, the Dain believe the holy people walk along the rainbow. It is their pathway between realms, their bridge from the invisible to the visible. In stories, when the holy people wish to appear, they travel upon the rainbow. It is their shimmering highway, their mark upon the sky. When a shaman calls upon them in ritual, the rainbow is often invoked, for it is the road upon which divine power arrives. The rainbow is also a bridge for humans, a symbolic path across danger. In myth, when floods rose or enemies threatened, the rainbow became the way of escape, carrying the people from destruction to safety. It is never merely color. It is always crossing, the rainbow and the warrior's shield. Beyond healing and guidance, the rainbow is also tied to strength in battle. Some chants describe warriors being cloaked in the rainbow, its arcs wrapping around their bodies like protective armor. To wear the rainbow was to be invincible, not in body, perhaps, but in spirit, protected from fear and evil. Even in weaving, rainbow bands appear on blankets. These are not just patterns for the eye, they are prayers and cloth, meant to shield the one who wears them. The rainbow has covenant. Just as in Mesopotamia and the Hebrew Bible, the rainbow was a covenant after the flood. So too for the Navajo, it is a sign of promise. When rain falls upon the parched desert, life returns. Grass sprouts, flowers bloom, cornfields grow. And when a rainbow appears afterward, it is a reminder that balance has been restored, that harmony has returned to the land. This is central to Navajo philosophy. Hojo, the concept of beauty, harmony, balance. To walk in beauty is to walk in balance with the cosmos. The rainbow is the visible arc of that beauty, stretched across the sky for all to see. Reflections in the desert sky. Picture it. The sun sets over Monument Valley, casting long shadows across sandstone towers. A sudden summer rain sweeps the desert, drenching the earth in silver sheets. Then the clouds part. Across the horizon, a rainbow arcs above the mesas, glowing against the darkening sky. For the traveler, it is breathtaking. For the Dine, it is sacred. It is Knots Elid, bending across the heavens, shielding the land, blessing the people, carrying the holy ones upon its glowing body. And so, in every storm's aftermath, when color arcs across the desert sky, the Dine remember. The rainbow is not chance, not accident. It is spirit. It is presence. It is the bridge that forever connects the holy people with their children on earth. Chapter 4. Maori Legends of the Rainbow. Far across the ocean, in Aotearoa, the land of the long white cloud, the Maori looked up at the skies and saw not just an arc of color, but a living god. His name was Uenuku, and he was the rainbow itself. For the Maori, the natural world is alive with spirit, and every river, mountain, and cloud carries mana spiritual authority and power. The rainbow was no exception. When it appeared over mountains and valleys, it was Uenuku revealing himself, a god of immense influence who carried meanings of love, war, blessing, and warning. The god Uenuku. Unlike many cultures that imagined the rainbow as a bridge or a bow, the Maori went further. The rainbow was not only a path of the gods, it was a god in its own right. Uenuku could bless warriors before battle, serve as an omen of victory or defeat, and remind the people that their actions were never unseen. His form in the sky was a living presence, vivid, commanding, undeniable. Some tribes described Uenuku as once being a mortal chief, transformed into a rainbow after tragedy and longing. Others revered him as an Atua divine being existing from the beginning of time. In all stories, he was powerful, unpredictable, and deeply revered. The legend of Uenuku and Hain Puko Rangi. Among the most enduring stories of Uenuku is his tragic love with Hain Puko Rangi, the Maiden of the Mist. Uenuku, a mortal chief, once encountered this ethereal woman who descended from the heavens shrouded in mist. She was radiant, unlike any earthly woman he had ever seen. They fell deeply in love, and for a time, they lived together in secret joy. But there was a condition. Hain Puko Rangi could not be revealed to his people. She belonged to the other world, and if he exposed her, she would vanish forever. For a time, Uenuku obeyed, but his people grew restless, whispering and mocking him for hiding his supposed wife. They claimed she was an illusion, a trick. Pressured and desperate, Uenuku tried to show her to them. But in doing so, he broke his vow. Hain Pukohu Rangi, betrayed, returned to the sky, leaving Uenuku alone. His grief was endless. He searched for her, wandering mountains and valleys, calling her name, waiting for the mist to descend and return his beloved. The gods, moved by his sorrow, transformed him into a rainbow. Forever after, he arched across the sky, reaching for the drifting mist that rolls down the mountains each morning. In every rainbow that touches fog, the Maori see Uenuku still searching for Hain Pukohu Rangi, a lover forever stretching between heaven and earth. This legend gives the rainbow its emotional weight, no longer just a sign of power, but a story of love and longing that transcends life itself. The rainbow is omen of war, but Uenuku's role was not confined to romance. In times of conflict, he revealed himself as a god of war. Warriors looked to the sky before battle, seeking the rainbow as a sign. If it stretched across the battlefield, it could be interpreted as Uenuku favoring one side, granting them mana, strength, and authority. A rainbow at dawn might be taken as blessing. A rainbow behind an army could mean protection. But a rainbow facing them could also serve as warning, a reminder that defeat was possible. The rainbow was never neutral. It was Uenuku's voice, speaking in colors. Thus, to the Maori, the rainbow was double-edged, capable of love and protection, but also judgment and power. Uenuku in daily life and ritual. Uenuku was remembered not only in myth, but in daily practice. His name was invoked in chants. His image was carved into meeting houses. His story was woven into oral traditions passed down by elders. For the Maori, to speak of the rainbow was to speak of a god who could not be ignored. Even today, in Maori art and carving, spirals and arches recall the form of the rainbow, symbols of Uenuku's presence and protection. When rainbows appear across the lush mountains of Aotearoa, many still greet them with respect, remembering that they are not only beautiful, they are adiua, divine. The rainbow is a path of mana. In Maori thought, mana is the spiritual authority that flows through leaders, warriors, and sacred places. The rainbow is one of the most visible signs of mana in the natural world. It stretches boldly, visible to all, undeniable in its presence. When Uenuku appeared, it was not just a natural phenomenon. It was the universe reminding the people of balance, power, and divine authority. Just as chiefs carried mana in their words and actions, Uenuku carried mana across the sky. Reflections in Aotearoa's sky. Picture it. Mist rolls down the mountains of New Zealand's North Island, covering the forest in a veil of silver. A storm passes, and shafts of light pierce the clouds. Suddenly, a rainbow arcs across the land, one end touching the ocean, the other fading into the mist-covered peaks. To the traveler, it is breathtaking. To the Maori, it is Uenuku, stretching once more toward his beloved, watching over the people, declaring his presence. It is not coincidence. It is communion. The rainbow is not an illusion. It is a God made visible. The double nature of the rainbow. Through Uenuku, the Maori expressed a profound truth. The rainbow is both blessing and warning, beauty and sorrow, love and judgment. It connects earth and heaven, but it also reminds us of the cost of broken promises, the power of divine authority, and the eternal longing for what is lost. When a rainbow stretches above Aotearoa, its message is clear. The divine is never far. The gods still walk with us. And Uenuku, in all his glory and grief, still searches the mist for his lost love, reminding us of the eternal bond between humanity and the sacred. Chapter 5. Comparative Myths. Why rainbows? The rainbow is universal. No matter where on earth you stand, no matter what language you speak, No matter what era you live in, when rain passes and sunlight breaks through, a bow of colors will appear. It is one of the few wonders of nature that belongs to all humanity. And yet, what is remarkable is not only that every culture sees the rainbow, but that nearly every culture gives it the same meaning. A bridge, a message, a connection between the human and the divine. But why? Why did peoples who never met, separated by oceans and centuries, look at the same arc of light and all see it as more than weather? To answer, we must travel across civilizations, listening to the echoes of rainbows and their stories. The rainbow in Greece, Iris, messenger of the gods. In ancient Greece, the rainbow was a goddess. Her name was Iris. With wings on her shoulders and a shimmering cloak of color, she moved between Olympus and the mortal world, carrying the words of Zeus and Hera. When the gods wished to speak to humankind, it was Iris who crossed the heavens, leaving behind a rainbow as her path. She was not just a messenger, but a guarantor of trust. Oaths were sworn in her name. To call upon Iris was to call upon honesty itself, for the rainbow could not lie. When a rainbow arched across the Greek sky, people saw the literal footsteps of the divine envoy moving between worlds. Here the rainbow was not only a bridge, but a promise that the gods were listening, that communication between heaven and earth was alive. The rainbow in Mesopotamia, in the Bible, the covenant of peace. Long before the Bible, the people of Mesopotamia told of a great flood. In the Babylonian epic of Gilgamesh, the gods unleashed a deluge to wipe out humankind. Yet when it ended, they too set a rainbow in the sky as a sign of covenant, a promise that such destruction would not come again. This story echoes in the Hebrew Bible. After the flood of Noah, when waters receded and the ark rested upon dry land, God stretched a rainbow across the sky. This is the sign of the covenant I make between me and you, the scriptures say. Never again would all life be destroyed by water. For both Mesopotamians and Hebrews, the rainbow was divine mercy made visible. It was the handshake of heaven, a covenant, a peace treaty between the infinite and the fragile. Whenever it appeared, it was reassurance. Storms pass, wrath fades, and life endures. The rainbow in India, Indra's bow. In India, the rainbow was not peace, but power. It was Indradhanush, the bow of Indra, king of gods and lord of storms. Indra wielded thunderbolts, controlled rain, and fought against demons of drought and chaos. The rainbow was imagined as his weapon, stretched across the sky, its string drawn taut, its arrows of lightning ready to strike. Unlike the covenant of Mesopotamia, here the rainbow was a sign of war, of justice, of the divine protecting cosmic balance. To see a rainbow in the Indian sky was to remember that order still triumphed over chaos, that Indra's bow was still guarding the world. The rainbow in Africa, the serpent in the sky. Across Africa, the rainbow was alive, sometimes as protector, sometimes as threat. Among the Ashanti, it was linked to Nyame, the sky god, appearing as his serpent that arched across the heavens. Among the Zulu, the rainbow could block rivers, drink water, or even swallow children who came too close. Here, the rainbow was dangerous. It was power personified, a being to be respected, feared, and never underestimated. Its beauty was a disguise for its danger. Just as storms could nourish crops or destroy them, the rainbow too was double-edged, both blessing and curse. The rainbow in Polynesia, pathways to the gods. Across the Pacific Islands, the rainbow often served as a bridge for chiefs and kings. In Hawaii, the goddess Uenuku was the rainbow itself, serving as a messenger between gods and mortals, much like Iris in Greece. In Samoa and Tahiti, chiefs were said to ascend to heaven upon rainbows after death, their mata carried into the divine realm. For Polynesians, the rainbow was not just a bridge, it was a royal road, a path of prestige and sacred authority. To be carried upon a rainbow was the highest honor, a confirmation that one's spirit was destined for the realm of the gods. The rainbow in the Andes, the Inca's sign of favor in the high mountains of the Andes, where storms gather quickly and sunlight pierces through snow peaks. The Inca looked at the rainbow as a sign of Inti, the sun god. It was his blessing, his signal of favor. Rainbows were woven into textiles, painted onto pottery, used in ceremonies. They were not only divine but imperial, a reminder that the Inca themselves ruled under the sun's covenant. Their authority mirrored in the rainbow's arc. The rainbow in Australia, the rainbow serpent. In the world's oldest continuous culture, the Aboriginal peoples of Australia told of the rainbow serpent, one of the most powerful beings of the dream time. This serpent slithered across the land, carving rivers, shaping mountains, and filling waterholes with life. But the rainbow serpent was not only creator, it was destroyer. It could bring floods, droughts, and death as easily as it gave life. To honor, it was to ensure fertility and balance. To disrespect, it was to invite catastrophe. Here, the rainbow was the very force of creation itself, both nourishing and terrifying, eternal and inescapable. The rainbow in Celtic and Norse echoes. In Celtic lore, the rainbow was tied to hidden treasures. The Irish told of leprechauns who hid gold at the rainbow's end. But beneath this playful tale lies something older, the rainbow as a liminal marker, the threshold between worlds. And in the north, we return to the Norse, where the rainbow was Bifrost, trembling with fire, destined to collapse at Ragnarok. Again, it was a bridge, fragile yet essential, between humanity and divinity, universal truths of the rainbow. Across all these traditions, the rainbow carries the same roles. The rainbow as bridge, a road across realms, whether to gods, to heaven, or to safety. The rainbow as covenant, a promise, whether of peace after floods or of balance maintained. The rainbow as weapon, a bow of the gods stretched against chaos. The rainbow as being, a serpent, a spirit, a god incarnate. The rainbow as paradox, fleeting yet eternal, beautiful yet dangerous, fragile yet powerful. Why does every culture see this? Perhaps because the rainbow itself is paradox made visible. It is born of storm and sun, of opposites reconciled. It appears where conflict ends and harmony begins. It touches earth and sky at once, belonging fully to neither. It dazzles and disappears, reminding us of both eternity and impermanence. It is, in itself, the perfect symbol of the divine, fleeting but unforgettable, unreachable but undeniable. The rainbow's message. So when we stand beneath a rainbow, we join all humanity. The Norse farmer who saw Bifrost flaming across the fjords. A Hebrew shepherd who looked skyward after rain and remembered God's covenant. The Polynesian chief who believed he would ascend upon its ark. The Navajo healer who drew its colors in sacred sand. The Maori elder who whispered Uenuku's name as mist met color in the sky. All looked up and all understood. This is no mere light. This is message. This is bridge. Chapter 6, Modern Reflections. From the fiery bridge of the Norse gods to the shimmering speardrops of Japan. From the protective sand paintings of the Navajo to the eternal arch of Uenuku in Aotearoa. From iris carrying divine messages in Greece to Indra's bow in India to the rainbow serpent carving rivers in Australia. The rainbow has always been more than light. It has been a bridge, a warning, a promise, a god. But what about us? What does the rainbow mean in the modern world when prisms and physics explain its colors? When we know it is sunlight refracted through raindrops? When satellites and telescopes tell us more about the heavens than our ancestors ever dreamed? Does myth still matter? The answer, perhaps, is yes more than ever. For while science tells us how the rainbow appears, only myth tells us why it still moves us. The rainbow has a universal language. Today, we live in a fractured world. Nations rise against nations, ideologies divide, cultures clash. And yet there are still things that belong to all humanity. The rainbow is one of them. It is a language that needs no translation. When a rainbow arcs across the sky, a child in the Philippines, a shepherd in Kenya, a farmer in Ireland, and a traveler in Peru all feel the same stirring. Awe, wonder, hope. No culture is untouched by it. No eye fails to recognize it. No heart remains unmoved. In a world of borders, the rainbow ignores them. It belongs to no one. And so, it belongs to everyone. The rainbow, as symbol of unity and diversity. In modern times, the rainbow has become a symbol not just of gods, but of humanity itself. It flies on flags around the world as a banner of inclusion, diversity, and pride. Its colors represent not only light, but the spectrum of human experience. The same arc that once carried gods now carries movements. Where once chiefs ascended to heaven upon rainbow bridges, today, people march beneath rainbow banners demanding dignity, equality, and justice. The myth has transformed, but the meaning endures. The rainbow is still a bridge. This time, a bridge between people, across divides of race, identity, belief, and love. It is perhaps the clearest proof that myths never die. They evolve. What began as a bridge to gods has become a bridge between us. The rainbow has covenant of hope. But beyond politics and symbolism, the rainbow still carries the oldest message of all. Hope. Storms end. Darkness passes. And after the sky has unleashed its fury, light returns. The rainbow is born from the marriage of storm and sun, of chaos and calm. It reminds us that no matter how fierce the tempest, no matter how heavy the rain, peace is possible. Balance returns. This is why survivors of disasters look up and weep when they see rainbows. Why soldiers at war have paused for just a moment when one appears. Why parents point it out to children, reminding them that beauty follows struggle. The rainbow whispers across generations. You will endure. The storm will pass. There is light beyond the darkness. The rainbow is science and wonder. Of course, we know the science. Isaac Newton split light with a prism, naming its colors. Physics tells us rainbows are caused by refraction, reflection, and dispersion of light within droplets of water. Satellites confirm their arcs, and cameras capture their double bands and rare moonbows. But science, as wondrous as it is, does not diminish the rainbow. It enhances it. Knowing how it forms does not lessen its power. For the heart is not stirred only by mystery. It is stirred by meaning. Science explains the mechanism. Myth explains the message. Together, they give us the rainbow in its fullness, both the beauty of knowledge and the beauty of story. The rainbow in art and memory. Throughout history, the rainbow has found its way into art. Medieval manuscripts painted it as the throne of God. Renaissance artists captured it in sacred landscapes. Romantic painters used it as a symbol of nature's majesty. Today, photographers and filmmakers chase it across mountains and waterfalls, always seeking that perfect arc of color. In music, poetry, and stories, the rainbow still speaks. Songs call it the dreamer's hope, the child's delight, the wanderer's guide. Poets remind us that it is both fleeting and eternal. Even in casual speech, we call it the symbol of promise, the pot of gold, the dream at the rainbow's end. Every time we use the word, we echo our ancestors. Every time we marvel at its colors, we join their chorus. The rainbow is bridge we still need. The ancients believed the rainbow connected realms, the world of humans and the world of gods. And in a way, it still does. For though we may not see Odin striding across Bifrost, or Izanagi stirring seas from the floating bridge, or Uenuku arching over misty mountains, we still see connection. We still feel that the rainbow binds what is divided. It binds storm and sunlight, It binds earth and sky. It binds science and myth. It binds the child laughing in awe with the elder remembering old tales. It is perhaps the last true bridge we all share, a reminder that above us all is the same sky, the same storm, the same light, reflections across the world. Think of it. In Norway, a fisherman on a fjord pauses, recalling the Bifrost of Heimdall. In Japan, a shrine visitor sees a rainbow over a torii gate and remembers Izanagi and Izanami's spear tripping land into the sea. In Arizona, a Navajo family sees a rainbow over Monument Valley and whispers of Nats Elid, the protector in the sky. In New Zealand, a Maori elder sees mist and color meet and remembers Uenuku still searching for his lost love. In Australia, an Aboriginal storyteller looks at the horizon and sees the rainbow serpent, eternal and powerful. In Ireland, a child giggles, dreaming of leprechaun treasure at the rainbow's end. In New York, a march moves forward beneath rainbow flags, claiming dignity for all people. Different stories. Same bridge, same meaning, same wonder. So the next time you step outside after rain and see a rainbow, pause. Remember Heimdall, standing guard upon Bifrost, listening for the footsteps of Ragnarok. Remember Izanagi and Izanami upon the floating bridge of heaven, dipping their spear and shaping islands from chaos. Remember the Navajo healers, drawing arcs of color in sacred sand, calling upon the rainbow spirit to shield the people. Remember Uenuku, transformed by love and loss, forever arching across the sky in search of his misty bride. Remember Iris, carrying messages from Olympus, Indra's bow drawn against chaos, the rainbow serpent slithering across Australia's dreamtime, and the covenant stretched across the floodwaters in ancient Mesopotamia. Remember that when you see a rainbow, you are not just seeing sunlight in water. You are seeing a story told since the beginning of time. You are seeing what unites us all. Perhaps, just perhaps, when you stand beneath that shimmering arc, you too are standing at the edge of a bridge. And if you dare to walk across, if only in your imagination, you might touch the divine. These stories of rainbow bridges remind us that across every culture, every age, and every storm, humanity has always sought connection to gods, to one another, to meaning beyond ourselves. If this journey through myth and legend moved you, share your own story. What do rainbows mean in your culture? What bridges have you crossed in your life? Don't forget to subscribe to Cool Legends, History, Stories, World Where Myths Live. History breathes and stories unite us all, because every rainbow ends, but the stories it leaves behind never fade.